Good morning. It is August 14th, 2023. We're going to be doing the New York Times Daily Newsletter by German Lopez. We are covering the energy transition, Georgia's Trump case, and a painting secret. Contradiction or transition? While the U.S. and Europe have enacted sweeping policies to fight climate change in recent years, China has always had the potential to undermine those successes. Yeah, because they're the world's largest polluter. Hey, it says that too. Look, China is the world's largest polluter. I'm surprised. It has the second largest population on Earth, while a growing economy that increasingly demands energy. If China largely fills that demand with coal and other fossil fuels, there's no such thing as fossil fuels. Fossil fuels do not come from dinosaurs. They are dead, decaying plant matter, and we can synthetically engineer them. Such a misnomer. As it has for the past 2 decades, it could negate the rest of the world's progress in reducing planet-warming greenhouse gas emissions. You mean the gas of life that plants breathe? The good news is that China is not relying only on plants, not fossil fuels. The world is moving towards a clean energy future faster than experts expected. Then stop screaming about it. My colleagues David Gels, Brad Plummer, Jim Tankersley, and Jack Ewing reported. And that future includes China. It already produces more electricity by solar and wind power than any other country, as this chart shows. I totally believe the Chinese, too. I absolutely believe it's all real. I mean, yeah, they get caught spray painting grass green to make it look green and all of that. But yeah, you can believe China is producing lots of solar energy. Yeah. China is also a leading manufacturer of electric cars that blow up. They now make a larger share of the passenger vehicle market in China than the US or EU. So talking about electric cars, they're not environmentally friendly at all. In case you forgot, you have to get lithium, cobalt, a bunch of other rare earth minerals that require mining, and children do that. So you're not actually solving any problems. You're actually creating more. There is no doubt about it. China is doing more than any other country when it comes to renewable energy and electric vehicles. David, who writes the Times Climate Forward newsletter. Yeah, because we need one of those. How? China has poured a lot of money into the research, development, and use of clean energy, using its extensive manufacturing base to build solar panels and wind turbines to bring down prices worldwide. It has provided subsidies to buyers of electric vehicles, as the U.S. now does, and it has pursued and surpassed aggressive goals. China vowed to double its capacity of wind and solar by 2030. It is on track to meet that goal 5 years ahead of schedule. Still, there is some bad news. While China is the world's biggest adapter of clean energy, it also remains the world's biggest user of oil, particularly coal. So, coal is not a fossil fuel either. They don't come from dinosaurs. Why would you call coal, which is absolutely not a fossil? Okay. We have to hold these two things. The whole reason why they do it is to create the artificial scarcity. There's so much oil. Okay. Quote, we have to hold these two things, which can seem contradictory in our heads at the same time. And quote, David said, China is pulling the world in 2 directions. You can burn coal completely clean. You can burn and scrub all the emissions. It releases nothing. There may not be a contradiction so much as a transition. China's investment suggests it is enthusiastic about clean energy, but it needs to power homes and factories at levels that clean energy sources alone can't handle yet. So China continues using fossil fuels to meet its needs. As clean energy becomes cheaper and more competitive, China could replace these non-fossil fuels over time and reduce how much it pollutes. This is the optimistic scenario, and China's quick embrace of clean energy suggests such a future is increasingly plausible. Yeah. More in the series. Supply chain problems, shortcomings in power grids by Byzantine regulations have slowed the transition. Oh, wow. The Save the Planet argument doesn't go far with some conservatives, so Biden administration officials and electric car sellers avoid mentioning climate change. That's because it's not real. It's global boiling now anyway, and besides, the planet's climate always changes, and it's not hotter now than it was in the 1930s, and we started keeping track of temperature at the end of an ice age. Yeah, it's going to get warmer. In the medieval maximum, they were growing grapes in the Netherlands because it was warm. The latest news, Trump investigation. The case against Donald Trump in Georgia reveals how far he and his allies went in their efforts to reverse the election results in the state. You mean they looked at the media who told people to go to Georgia and illegally claim that they moved there so that they could vote, which violates Georgia's election law. They changed laws to allow, and in Georgia specifically, they had 30 times the mail-in votes with 5 times fewer the rejection rates, which suggests that there might be problems, and it's not wrong to look into them. And it's not illegal, and it's not a traitorous thing to do. It's exactly what the Democrats did, and it was fine for them. So this is a political attack, and it's quite pathetic, too. Prosecutors in the state are expected to present their findings starting this morning, and a grand jury is likely to decide within days whether Trump should be indicted over a non-crime. This is awesome. I mean, you charged Trump with conspiracy against rights and think it's not political. Here's what you need to know about the case, which has been 2.5 years in the making. It's a political attack. That's really all you've got to know, is it's a partisan political hit job because the Democrats are afraid of running against Donald Trump because they don't have Corona to beat you over the head with anymore, and they don't have the mail-in votes, so they have to run a real election, and they're afraid. Politico has a guide explaining why Trump's legal troubles, including this investigation and 3 indictments. Yeah. Sure, that's a real unbiased guide, too. Hawaii wildfires. Firefighters trying to save Lahaina, Hawaii, found hydrants starting to run dry. The families of missing people are receiving few updates from slow search efforts. Flammable invasive plants help spread the fires. Hercules Matafa, a former college football star, saved his parents before their family home burned. I got to say, the way we've learned that there were warning sirens that weren't activated. The fire spread rapidly. I feel like this was not just a random event. I feel like there could be arson involved in this. I hear people on the internet talking about, could be, directed energy weapons from the Chinese. You're going too far. It's not hard to have a guy and just wait for the right conditions. People have an idea that because you're on an island that it must always be humid and it must, like a fire can't really happen. No, it actually gets really dry on islands. Winds can whip up. Wildfires can really devastate those. So you could have just had someone in the right place at the right time. Not saying that that's what I think happened, but boy, it seems strange. Has the delay in getting F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine doomed its counteroffensive? Experts say it can still prevail, but will be tougher. No, they can't. They're not doing well. It's going worse. F-16s aren't going to be the game changer, just like cluster bombs weren't, just like tanks weren't. Ukraine is facing an energy many times its enemy, many times its size. Really no realistic way that Ukraine is going to beat Russia back here. We need to start being serious. We're just sending people to a meat grinder. A Norwegian climber who broke records ascending K2, the world's second highest mountain, was accused of stepping over an injured porter who later died. I mean, that's kind of what happens when you climb mountains. Like in Everest, there's a place called Rainbow Valley, and it's just a bunch of people that are dead, and they wear brightly colored clothing on the mountain, and they die there. You can't take them down. So it's unfortunate. Iranians are using a ritual gathering in Shia Islam to protest the government. Good for them. The police in Kansas raided offices of a newspaper over a document it had acquired but had not published. I live in Kansas. Marion is a small town not far from where I live. I've been there a few times. This one is kind of interesting. That's a small police department. There's only like 5 or 6 guys there. Took everything at the newspaper. I'm a little leery about this. The CBS News president, Niraj Khemlani, stepped down but plans to take a different job at the network. Mark Zuckerberg backed off a potential cage fight with Elon Musk, saying that Musk did not seem serious. It's not real. It's not going to happen. There's no chance that will occur. Musk is over 50. Mark Zuckerberg is the CEO of a company. So is Elon Musk. If either one of them got a head injury, their companies would take billions of dollars in losses. Their shareholders will sue them. If this fight actually gets booked, they're both going to get sued by their shareholders. It'll get blocked. They'll end up playing chess. This is theater. I can't believe I read that. Texas has dropped over 500,000 people from Medicaid, more than any other state since the end of pandemic era policy that barred states from removing people. State officials closed libraries and Houston schools as part of a takeover plan, angering parents. Wonder why. China. When disaster or tragedy strikes in China, the government suppresses information to avoid highlighting Communist Party's failures. So at the top, you remember how you said that China is doing well in renewable energy? This somewhat contradicts that because they obviously wouldn't tell you if it wasn't going well. The government rewrote a popular song about disillusionment in a Chinese industrial city. Gee, I'm shocked. Democrats love to do that, especially on, what's that song? Try That in a Small Town, and that one country guy with the Richmond song. Other big stories. An FBI spy hunter's arrest on corruption charges suggests he was motivated by greed. Oh, I'm shocked. An FBI agent motivated by greed? That doesn't happen. The new head of the NYPD's intelligence unit says it's become more conscientious about protecting civil liberties after repeated violations, including spying on Muslims. The police in Michigan apologized after wrongfully arresting a 12-year-old black boy who was taking out the trash. I saw the video of that. That's how do you arrest a guy who's taking out the trash when there's a bunch of people saying he's taking out the trash? Opinions. The Inflation Reduction Act, which is a boondoggle, has put the onus on poor communities to reap its benefits. No, it just increased inflation. It made everything worse. It was a terrible policy. Garrett Kaiser writes that one thing has in common with people who call for book bans: they believe in the power of literature. No one's calling for book bans, so they just don't want porn in schools. Such a strange position to take, that you want to have pornographic books in schools that tell children how to go on Grindr. Uncovering art history. For years, a 19th century painting of 3 white children in Louisiana landscape held a secret. A depiction of an enslaved child named Bealzer painted over with skies. Such depictions are so rare that after the painting was restored, the Metropolitan Museum acquired it. A new video from the time shows how the secret was discovered. So what? They went through the painstaking effort of painting that dude and then painted over him? Why would you do that? With Hollywood productions paused, viewers are taking the opportunity to catch up on old shows. Who cares? The Hollywood stuff that they produce is garbage. Barbie is finding a new audience in Saudi Arabia while some Middle Eastern countries are denouncing it. Yeah, I'm sure they love Barbie. Again, with this, it looks like... I'm not even going to say. So yeah, so there we go. What a way to end it. Happy Monday. Have a wonderful week.